So what's up, SRL League fans, and welcome to round 5 of season 5, the Austrian Grand Prix. Here at Spielberg, we're still here sitting in the lobby waiting for the qualifying session to get going. Today in the booth it's me, Sandro Doulis, commentating. Unfortunately, Lance Lebron, your usual commentator Kamikaze Fox, wasn't able to make it today, so I'm gonna jump in again, and my replacement today will be Luke Smith. He will be the reserve driver, will be piloting the Ferrari, so that will be interesting to see. Last time out at Bahrain, he was a real contender for the race win. Ultimately, it was comeback driver Lewis Marshall who took the race win at the Bahrain Grand Prix. So let's see what Luke Smith will be able to do today. As we are now waiting to get the qualifying session going. Not too crucial on this track, as it's real easy to overtake into turn 2 up the hill. I think this racetrack got 3 DRS zones. No, it actually got 2 DRS zones. First on the start-finish straight, and the second one is after turn 2, the run down into turn 3, which is a really crucial corner. If you get this that corner wrong, it's really easy to end up in the gravel. So let's see how this track is going to challenge our drivers today. We will be, I think, 15 drivers on the grid today, so that's a solid amount of drivers. As the game seems to have some kind of glitch. No, we're back. Okay, finally. We got the game sound now. For a second I was worried there was a bug, but thankfully Codemasters held on. Gonna say a quick welcome to the chat. We got Dylan Warren in the chat and Tim Ventic. Tim should probably concentrate on driving instead of commenting in the chat, but he'll figure it out, I guess. As we have our first drivers going out on track. This is Ivan Brito in the Alfa Romeo Sauber, or what's it's only called Alfa Romeo, in 2019. Ivan Brito had quite a slow start to the season, only scoring 4 points in the first 4 races. He seems to struggle a bit with consistency, crashing out in a lot of races. Last week at Bahrain, I think he spun early on in the race. But he'll be looking to score some more points in this race, as he has improved a lot from when he joined SRL back at the beginning of Season 4. He had a steep learning curve after crashing out a lot in his first few races, even getting blocked for, I think it was round 6 of the season. But after that he came back strong and got some really good finishes and scored some good points. We're gonna pick up Luke Smith as he's going on his flying lap. He'll be a threat for pole, so it will be interesting to have a look at how he's doing on this first lap here. He's on the medium compound tires, so he's gonna be looking to go after strategy instead of pace. Let's see how is he gonna do. Looking really clean so far, as he got Sector 1 done. Well, Sector 1 is basically just 2 straights linked with one really sharp corner. Looking like a really tight, really clean banker lap so far for the Australian, who's piloting the Ferrari in this race as a reserve for myself, Sandro Doulis, who's up in the commentator booth today. Going to the last 2 corners, really easy to get your lap invalidated here. He goes a little bit wide. That was close to invalidation probably. Let's see if this lap is still valid. No, it's not, just as I expected. That's a real shame, because so far that would look like a really clean lap from Luke Smith. And this is Lewis Marshall. Lewis Marshall, the comeback driver of the season so far, going on his flying lap. Ian Brito leaves the session. He probably disconnected, I imagine. As Reese March takes the fastest lap, but just a second later he's beaten by Nick van Gelder by 3/10 of a second. Lewis Marshall, 2 wins of the season so far. He won his comeback race back at Russia, round 3, and straight after that, round 4 last week at Bahrain, he took the win as well. He even had a big enough of a gap to make a pit stop with a few laps to go, just to get the fastest lap of the race. He's on the soft compound tire, so he'll definitely be looking for pole position and that 1 extra point, as he's in the hunt for the championship, trying to make up the lost points he lost during the first 2 races of the season, which he missed. But he's coming back into the pits. I guess he wasn't happy with that lap. Maybe he invalidated his lap as well. I'm gonna pick up René van der Stapp as Cameron Edwards takes the fastest lap of the session. He's on provisional pole now, the McLaren driver, as we are looking at his teammate René van der Stapp coming through the last corner. Looking really clean so far. But is it fast enough? Only fast enough for P4, so that's 1 second off his teammate. So Cameron Edwards, the championship leader, currently on provisional pole position. Tim Vantik, as he's crossing the line for the new fastest lap of the session. Provisional pole now for Tim Vantik, who's currently sitting P3 in the championship. He's only 13 points behind Cameron Edwards, so we got a real battle for the championship lead at the moment between Cameron Edwards, Lewis Marshall, Tim Vantik, René van der Stapp, and Vasilis Pediciotis, who is not here at the moment. He might be joining mid-session, that's at least what he told us. So let's just wait and see if the Greek is going to show up. This is Lewis Marshall. He's back out again for a second run, again on the soft compound tires. He aborted his first run, wasn't happy with that lap, and went into the pits straight away to save some time. Drivers will be looking to make 3 stints, 3 runs in this qualifying session. If there's enough time, some drivers will be able to make a 4th run, but they will be close with the time running out. Lewis Marshall currently sitting last because he hasn't set a time yet, but there are many other drivers that haven't set a time yet, and that's Vasilis Pediciotis, who has just joined. So the Greek will be starting from the back, but he will be a threat. We all know how fast he is. He will be on the alternate strategy as well, so that will be interesting to see. Vasilis Pediciotis coming from the back, and Lewis Marshall really, yeah, if he runs through turn 1, we could see his back end stepping out. But this wasn't the cleanest of sector 1s. He flips the DRS open, going to turn 3 now. This downhill left-hander. Gonna jump on board with him. This is the trickiest part of the track. This sector 2, a lot of high-speed corners. But you can easily understeer. You really need that front downforce for this section of the track, while you need a lot of straight line speed for the rest of the track. Going in the final 2 corners now. He's gonna be looking to not invalidate his lap time. He runs a little bit wide there. There was all 4 tires outside of the white line. And yes, he invalidated the lap time again. Wow. So this is 2 runs down already, and 2 sets of tires used already as well for Lewis Marshall. So we probably only got 1 set left, probably. Wow, okay. As Dion Stahl takes an interesting line into the pit lane. Nick van Gelder on his outlap. So is Cameron Edwards, who is on his second flying lap now. We'll have a look at him. Really nicely through turn 1. You really have to look out for that inside curb. You really want to go over that inside curb, but not too much, because you're gonna get an invalidation really quickly. Hard braking for turn 2, up the hill. Really difficult. As it's really difficult to see the apex of that corner, and you have to get the power down and not get any wheel spin, otherwise you're gonna lose all the momentum on this second gear straight now. Really clean by the Brit, our championship leader. As we're going now, he's going into that really difficult sector 2. Left, right, and back on this short straight before he's gonna go in those final 2 corners. Gets the car turning. Through the final corner he goes. That was a little bit wide. Let's hope he didn't invalidate his lap time just like Lewis Marshall a little lap ago. And I feel like he did. That's a shame. That's a real shame. Tim Vantik. He's gonna start his second flying lap now. He's currently on provisional pole. I think that would be the Dutch 3rd pole of the season so far. Remember, he's an SRL rookie. He is comparable, this season is comparable to Vasilis Petitsiotis' rookie season last year, where he was really on fire when he joined SRL. And same is currently with Tim Vantik. He's still making a lot of rookie mistakes. For example, his spin at Germany, where he threw away a possible, contention for a win, basically. But he's really showing some strong pace. He has been showing some strong pace in the first 4 rounds of the season, and let's see if he can get his first ever SRL win today here at Austria. Looked like a really clean lap so far. He ran a little bit wide going through the final corner going on this lap, so let's hope he didn't invalidate this flying lap here as he's approaching traffic. I think this is René van der Stap. So René van der Stap will be looking to get out of the way, but he is not. So he has to deal with the dirty air as Van der Stap is now going into pits. I don't understand why he didn't get out of the way, as Tim Vantik ran a little bit wide through there, and he does not improve his lap time. And Rhys March improves to P3. Wow, strong showing by the Haas driver. He's still 7/10 off pole, but that's a really strong lap by Rhys March. That would be a new personal best starting position for the young Brit, who raced in 5 races last year as a reserve driver for Haas, and he's in his rookie season as a full-time driver this year, teaming up with Samuel Brandt, who's gonna go on his flying lap in a second. Slowing down to get more speed through the final 2 corners. Clever thinking by Samuel. As Dane is going on his flying lap now. Clean through turn 1, making sure to not invalidate his lap time. Braking into turn 2, but there's a yellow flag. What happened there? There's a Toro Rosso. This is Jan Holm. So his countryman has made a mistake. He brought up the yellow flag, but Samuel Brandt has gone through. He didn't necessarily get in his way, but that definitely was a distraction. And the smallest distractions on those qualifying laps, where the tension is really high, can really mess up your rhythm and mess up your lap, basically. Ran a little bit wide through there, but still fine. Into the final 2 corners now. Perfect apex. Final corner. Looked a little bit wide, but it's still valid, I think. And he improves to P6. And wow, Louis Quinlan improves to P3. That was a solid lap by the Brit. Wow, that's impressive. He has showed some good pace at the end of last season, but he kept on making mistakes. His best finish was at Brazil, where he grabbed a P4 finish at the final round of the season. Luke Smith, the Ferrari reserve driver. On his second lap, he ran wide through there. Is his lap still valid? Yes, it is. P3 for Luke Smith, so he's gonna be lining up in the second row if everything stays like this, which I do not expect. He's 3/10 off Tim Vantik. Jorge Carrera, who took his first ever SRL League podium at the Russian Grand Prix, I think it was, yeah. Way to go for the Portuguese, as he is racing since season 4 in SRL competition. Had a lot of bad luck last season with a lot of crashes, but he is definitely improving this year, with especially taking his first ever podium finish. And Lewis Marshall takes a provisional pole. Wow, 42 thousandths of a second, only quicker than Tim Vantik. Unfortunately, I missed that lap. My bad. Excuse me, please. Well, wow, that's a really strong lap by Lewis Marshall, and Tim Vantik needs to answer now. He's only 42 thousandths of a second behind that lap time, so it will be interesting to see if you can beat it. You can always improve your lap time. There's always something you can do better, and I imagine there's something Tim Vantik can do better to improve by 42 thousandths of a second. Behind those two, it's 3/10 of a gap to Cameron Weston-Edwards, who is sitting P3, with Luke Smith sitting behind him in P4, so they'd be lining up in row 2. Really quiet currently out there. But there's Tim Vantik. Tim Vantik is coming out now. Everybody is currently qualifying on the soft compound tires, as you can see in this graphic. Apart from Jorge Carrera, who's trying out the mediums, but it's not working as he's not inside the top 10. This strategy only works if he's inside the top 10, because otherwise he's gonna have free tire choice anyway. So that wouldn't make any sense. So it's rookie Tim Vantik on his outlap, trying to warm up those Pirelli Red Wall soft compound tires. His heart rate will be up. Let's see, will he crack under pressure, or will he get another pole position? He runs wide, he cracks under pressure. So unfortunately we don't know if he invalidated his lap time already, but he definitely lost a lot of momentum on this start-finish straight. He keeps on going, so I imagine he has not invalidated his lap time, but he definitely lost a bit of time there on the start-finish straight, as his run definitely got hampered by going wide in that last corner. He's approaching traffic now. He'll get blue flags. Oh, he's not moving out of the way. This is not ideal, as it's Louis, who is that? I think it's a Mercedes ahead of him. That must be Lewis Marshall, who gets out of the way now. But that wasn't optimal. That was not optimal, because Tim Vantik got a lot of dirty air through turn 3 and turn 2. On the edge, right at the grass, but not on the grass. That could have been another invalidation. I'd love to see a graphic where you can see if the lap is invalidated or not. Fortunately, Codemasters hasn't made this possible yet. Oh, you can see he's definitely on the edge. Is it enough for Tim Vantik? Yes, it is, by 2 thousandths of a second. Wow, what a lap by Tim Vantik. Now it's Lewis Marshall's job to answer to this, as he's on his third run now on the soft compound tires. Tim Vantik pulled this one out of the bag. Wow, that was crazy. As, oh wow, Jorge Carrera in the meantime has moved up to P3. That's a great lap by Carrera, who's only about 2/10 slower than pole position. Very good lap by the Portuguese driver. Nick van Gelder, the reigning champion, is only sitting P10 in the moment, so he'll be looking to improve on his current lap time, which is a second slower than pole position. So Lewis Marshall will he be able to answer to that great lap by Tim Ventic? He needs to find 0.02 of a second. 1 minute 4.464 is the time to beat. Will he be able to do it? Lewis Marshall, he crosses the line, and he does! By 91,000 of a second, Lewis Marshall takes pole position. Cameron Weston-Edwards has improved to P3 in the meantime. Luke Smith is the last big threat to Lewis Marshall for the fight for pole position. Will be able to do something. We jump on board with Luke Smith. He moves up to P4, but our pole position, our pole setter, is Lewis Marshall, who takes pole ahead of Tim Ventic. So these two are gonna line up in row 1, with Cam Weston-Edwards, the championship leader, starting 3rd behind him. Next to him, I should say, is Luke Smith, the reserve driver for Ferrari. Then it's Jorge Carrera with a great P5. Same goes for Reese March and Louis Quinlan, who are starting in really good positions. And it's Dion Stahl in P8, Samuel Brandt in P9, Nick van Gelder only in the disappointing P10. Behind him it's Ivan Brito, and really disappointing P12 for René van der Stap, who is currently in the championship hunt. So this will be a big task for René van der Stap, moving up the places. Then it's Brian Power, Robin Herstertage and Jan Holm in the last position. And remember, who's starting from the back? Vasilis Bediciotis, who joined mid-session. So we will be watching out for Nick van Gelder, René van der Stap and Vasilis Bediciotis rushing themselves through the field. This is Marshall's 3rd pole of the season, so this means ever since he rejoined SRL at the Russian Grand Prix, he has taken every single pole. That's his 3rd pole in a row. That's really impressive stat right there. As we're waiting. Looks really overcast, but no rain at the moment. It's always a threat here at Spielberg in the Austrian Steiermark. As we're gonna go on the formation lap now. Drivers will be looking to warming up their tires. And this is Vasilis Bediciotis. He missed qualifying. He was able to join midway through the session. He will be starting in the Toro Rosso. That's not his actual team. His actual team is Mercedes. But because he joined mid-session, Codemasters puts him just randomly in one car. And this time it looks like it's the Toro Rosso. So make sure if you see a Toro Rosso, that's Vasilis Bediciotis, as he almost drops it while warming up the tires. Lewis Marshall. Will he get a decent start? That's the big question. He got a big threat right behind him, with Cameron Weston-Edwards starting a row behind him. He's been the best starter so far this season. He got some amazing starts in the first 4 races of the season. Will be able to do it again. It will be also interesting to see who has the fastest speed going up the hill into turn 2. That will be really tight. We are gonna have a really exciting race here on our hands, guys. I'm hyped up. I hope you are as well. Grab yourself some popcorn, a cold drink, lay back, and enjoy the Austrian Grand Prix of SRL League Racing. Round 5 of Season 5. Just a few more seconds until we get going. All drivers seem to be lined up here on the grid. We're waiting for the lights. Five lights are on, and away we go here for the Austrian Grand Prix. It looks like another decent stop by Cameron Weston-Edwards. He's gonna go down the inside of Tim Vantik now. They seem to make some contact. Some drivers are off the track back there, but all seem to stay in their positions. Some drivers go into the grass. But all looks really clean for the first two corners. That's a big surprise. A lot of shoveling in the back. As Cameron Weston-Edwards looks to make an overtake around the outside of Tim Vantik going to turn 3. Close battling between those two. It's the inside for Cameron for this corner. And wow, Luke Smith has a shot at it as well. And Tim Vantik loses 2 positions in the span of 2 corners. And Cameron Weston-Edwards is in the gravel. He got forced off the track by, I think it was Luke Smith, who looked to make another overtake. And Cameron Weston-Edwards is all the way down to P9. Wow, the championship leader in big trouble early. He had a stunner of a start once again, but he got pushed off the track by Luke Smith. Tim Vantik now in the slipstream of Luke Smith. And the happiest guy on the track right now is Lewis Marshall, as all the guys behind him are scrapping around. He has already gained 1.7 seconds of a gap. This is basically a copy to the Russian Grand Prix, where he was able to build a gap early on because the guys behind him were scrapping around and battling each other. That's exactly what he wants to see. Already up to P12 here for Vasilis Beliciotis. Only 2 more positions and he's into the points paying positions. So great job by the Greek. As we're gonna pick up the battle for P2 once again. We haven't seen it, but looks like Dion Stahl has also dropped down the order. He is down in last place. As Reese March is battling Hall Guerrero for P4. Both of these drivers are definitely going to be really happy with their run so far, as they are running in some really decent positions. Same for Louis Quinlan behind them. Dion Stahl is currently sitting in the pit lane, so I guess he picked up damage on lap 1 and was forced to pit for a new front wing. So it's another first lap incident for Dion Stahl. He already had one last week at Bahrain. Vasilis Beliciotis is now in McLaren sandwich. He just got by René van der Staap for P10, so that would be the first point for Vasilis Beliciotis. And right ahead of him now is Cameron Weston-Edwards. As Reese March is free wide, they go into turn 2. It's a hard sandwich for Louis Quinlan, who's in the middle between Samuel Brandt and Reese March. Samuel Brandt makes the switchback work. He's in the slipstream of his teammate now. They were battling last week at Bahrain as well, which ended in Reese March spinning. Will be clean this time. Samuel Brandt on the outside. This is going to turn into the inside for the next corner. But he's going to stay behind his teammate. Obviously, he doesn't want to make any stupid moves, because in the end, this is his teammate. As Tim Vantik has closed the gap even more to Luke Smith, who runs wide through the final corner. He's having DRS. And Luke Smith is also catching up to Lewis Marshall, who... yeah, it's just... Luke Smith is only just outside the DRS window as Tim Vantik picks up his first penalty. This is something he has to watch out for the rest of the race. Remember, back at Russia, he probably lost the race win due to his penalties. as the battle goes on for P5 between Samuel Brandt, Louis Quinlan and Reese March. Reese March has just lost 2 positions against his teammate and Louis Quinlan in the Williams. Cam Weston Edwards trying to get back. He's currently in P8, only has gained 1 more positions after his trip through the gravel. Luke Smith looked a little bit loose out of the first corner, so Tim Ventic is gonna have a big run now into turn 2 with DRS help. ERS is up, but it wasn't enough, because remember, Luke Smith, no, he doesn't have DRS. Those top 3 have put a gap of 2.2 seconds to the rest of the field already. They have gapped the field by 2.2 seconds. It's 2.2 seconds between Tim Ventic in P3 and Jorge Guerrero is currently sitting in P4, and behind Jorge Guerrero it's another 3.8 gap to Samuel Brandt. As they keep on scrapping here. It's Louis Quinlan who's sitting right behind Samuel Brandt. Really close racing so far. That's what we want to see. That's what we expect to see at Austria, which has a lot of overtaking opportunities. As we see another overtake here by Louis Quinlan. He tries it around the outside of Samuel Brandt, and he makes the move stick. But Samuel Brandt is gonna come back at him, and it's 3 wide once again. It's another Haas sandwich going up the hill into turn 2. Louis Quinlan is in the middle. Reese March gets forced off the track, and here comes Cam Weston Edwards. He has caught up a lot on the last lap because they are all scrapping. It's 3 wide once again, and Cam Weston Edwards goes down the inside. He's drifting around turn 3. Samuel Brandt is in the grass, and this is 3 positions gained for Cam Weston Edwards just in 1 sector. Wow, that's impressive stuff by Cam Weston Edwards, and that's exactly what he needed after his trip through the gravel on lap 1. Impressive stuff by our championship leader. And Tim Ventic now is even closer to the rear of the Ferrari of Luke Smith. But Luke Smith is also in the DRS window of Lewis Marshall now. So Lewis Marshall is the only one of the top 3 not having DRS. So we will be seeing that gap come down in the upcoming laps. This is really exciting racing. As Louis Quinlan has just passed Reese March, Samuel Brandt has dropped down to P10 after his contact last lap, and he's dropping down the order even more. Maybe he's picked up some front wing damage, I expect. He's side by side with Nick van Gelder now, who's having a really poor weekend so far. And Samuel Brandt makes the overtake work. Down the inside, back into P10. Oh, he defends himself. As we can see some spots of rain on that black chassis of the Haas. This is gonna be a big factor in this race. Will those soft tires last until it's time for intermediates? Currently, if they don't, I see a big chance for René van der Sap of challenging for the win, because he's the only driver, the only competitive driver who started on the medium compound tires. And if everybody on softs won't make it until it's time for intermediate tires, he'll stay out, he'll pit for intermediates, and he'll have an advantage of 1 pit stop. Well, this is gonna be really interesting to see how quick and how fast and how strong, especially, this rain is gonna come down. But it looked like rain all race long. Really overcast here today at in the Austrian Steiermark. But there's definitely some rain, as you can see from the onboard here of Luke Smith. You can see those spots of rain crossing that halo and that nose of the Ferrari. While Luke Smith is catching up to Lewis Marshall in the Mercedes. At one point Lewis Marshall almost had a 2-second gap, but that's down to basically nothing now as Luke Smith is gaining more and more. The key moment when he got into the DRS window, because since then he can just relax in the DRS window without losing any time, because he's always gaining that time back on the straight. You can see he was right at his back going through the hairpin corner. Vasilij Speditsiotis gets past Cameron Weston-Edwards for P6, but we're gonna stay with the battle for the lead because this is really, really important stuff for the rest of this race. Nick van Gelder gains a position against Samuel Brandt. Samuel Brandt gets him back, so those guys are scrapping around. Nick van Gelder drops to P12 behind Robin Herstadtagen, who's moved up into P11. Dion Stahl has picked up a 3-second time penalty. That's his first of the race. Tim Vantik will be looking for Luke Smith to make a move on Lewis Marshall and possibly take both of them. As Louis Quinlan is dropping down the order. He is spun. Louis Quinlan is the first one to spin, and he is spun on the pit lane entry. Wow, okay. So this rain is coming down much harder than I expected, and much more quickly especially. The track is getting slippery. Excitement. As Luke Smith is still right behind Lewis Marshall. Lewis Marshall seems to have a lot of straight line speed, because Luke Smith wasn't able to make a move so far, even though he got DRS, and Lewis Marshall doesn't. And the first guys who are on intermediates now are Louis Quinlan and Jan Holm. This means it won't be long until our leaders are gonna pit for the intermediates. But they're gonna stay out for now, as Luke Smith picks up his first 3-second time penalty after he just ran wide through the penultimate corner. So Tim Vantik and Luke Smith both have a 3-second time penalty now. They're equal. Lewis Marshall does not have any penalties so far. This is going to be crucial for the rest of the race. We'll be looking out for that. I hope I keep track of the penalties being applied to the drivers. About 11 laps on those soft tires. That's also a big task they're asking from those Pirelli tires. Nick van Gelder picks up his first penalty. But those intermediate tire drivers who just pitted, like Louis Quinlan, they seem to lose a lot of time. So that means it's not time for, intermediate tires. Right now, they're overheating their tires, and until the track is wet enough for the intermediates, their tires will be completely done. So it's really crucial to not pit too early. And DRS is still activated as well, so that means the race director hasn't labeled this race as a wet race so far. So that means drivers staying out. You can always use that as like a benchmark when to pit for the wet compound tires. Oh, Luke Smith made contact! Luke Smith has made contact with Lewis Marshall, and Lewis Marshall was sent for a spin. And Tim Vantik takes the lead. That's exactly what I expected. Exactly what I expected. Luke Smith and Lewis Marshall tangling, and Tim Vantik has taken over the race lead. It just looked like Luke Smith just outbraked himself into the tight hairpin, and Lewis Marshall might have braked a little bit earlier than the laps before. And I really surprised Luke Smith, and Luke Smith sent Lewis Marshall into a spin. And that's the lead gone for Luke Smith and Lewis Marshall, and Tim Vantik is now in the lead. I expect Luke Smith is taking some front wing damage from this, but he's staying out as he does not want to make an extra pit stop for dry tires now. What a turn of events here on lap 14. Lewis Marshall will be fuming inside that Mercedes cockpit right now. He was doing everything right so far this race. Of course his gap has come down, but he was still managing his lead. And he was just sent into the spin at this right corner here. And Luke Smith has definitely taken some damage as he's losing a lot of time to to Lewis Marshall. And who's taking most of the benefit from this incident, of course, is Tim Vantik, who's now in a lead, in the race lead, and he has already a gap of 2.4 seconds to Lewis Marshall behind him. Of course, remember, Tim Vantik has a 3-second time penalty, so we'll be hoping for Lewis Marshall to get a penalty as well. But right now, it's Tim Vantik in the race lead. And Luke Smith has pitted now. Oh, he's really slow going into the pits. And Louis Quinlan has just retired off the session. He was one of those 2 people who went on the intermediate tires really early on. And a lot of drivers are going into the pits right now. Kevin Weston Edwards has come in. The championship leader. And there's a traffic jam in the pits. What is happening here? I think there was Louis Quinlan. Wow. So Louis Quinlan has retired in the pit lane, and his AI car was stuck in the pit lane, and Cam Weston Edwards and Luke Smith had no chance. They both had to wait, and they lost some valuable time. And Cam Weston Edwards is on the soft compound tire. So I guess he made a mistake on choosing his tire compound, I imagine. Or did he just think his tires couldn't go any longer? I guess he did. Yeah. Luke Smith is losing a lot of time on those intermediates. I guess the soft compound tires couldn't go any longer than lap 16. Yeah, because Lewis Marshall is now also pitting for another set of dry tires. He's going onto the mediums. And this is completely playing into the hands of René van der Staep, who's on the medium tire, who started on the mediums. He's gonna stay out now, and he'll be hoping to, be able to pit when the rain has come. Tim Vantik, meanwhile, who's challenging for second place against René van der Staep, he has pitted for intermediate, so he's, gambling that the track is wet enough for those intermediate tires. And he's coming right back at René van der Staep. This is the crossover point right now. It feels like dry tires, intermediate tires have the same pace. Well, a lot of different strategies going on right now. I'm trying to keep track of all of them. The rain is definitely still coming down. But Lewis Marshall is definitely catching up to Tim Vantik, as Tim Vantik is still struggling, and Lewis Marshall goes for a half spin, but he keeps his car straight. Wow, what an impressive save by Lewis Marshall through the final corner. Yeah, I was about to say those dry tires are currently quicker than the intermediates, but it's definitely slippery out there. And currently in the race lead, it's Vasilis Speditsiotis, who's still on his 16-lap-old soft tires. He's trying to make those soft tires last until he feels like it's time for intermediates. As Lewis Marsh is now right at the back of Tim Vantik. And he's gonna pass him easily here. He's much quicker at the moment on those dry tires, and Tim Vantik knows that and lets him by. So the two drivers staying out right now are René van der Staep in second, who started on the medium compound tires, and Vasilis Speditsiotis, who's currently leading. but he's gonna come in right now. He can't go any longer on those soft tires. Oh, he goes onto the grass on the pit lane entry. It's really slippery now. I guess he's gonna go on intermediate compound tires. No, he is not. He's sticking with the soft compound tires, so he does not think it's wet enough for the intermediates. He's gonna do a really short stint and come in another few laps for intermediates. And now the only driver without a pit stop left is René van der Step, as he's running wide on those really old medium tires. Lewis Marshall is coming, and he's coming fast. He's gonna be able to overtake him probably next lap if René van der Step stays out for another lap. You can see he does not hit any apexes here. His tires are done, and the damp track is definitely not helping him out. Yeah, Lewis Marshall is right behind him now. And he's already gapped Tim Ventic by 4 seconds. As Tim Ventic is really struggling on those intermediate tires. It was too early for the intermediate tires. René van der Step stays out another lap, but he's definitely going to be overtaken by Marshall. Marshall goes for the inside, DRS is open, and he gets by René van der Step for the race lead. And Tim Ventic makes a pit stop. This has gone so wrong so quickly for Tim Ventic. He has realized it's too dry for those intermediate, and he has come in for another set of slicks. He's on the medium compound tires. Really interesting conditions. It looks like it's raining, but the track is just not wet enough for intermediate tires, and the drier tires are just much quicker. I'd like to compare this to Brazil 2012 and Brazil 2013 in real life Formula 1, when drivers were on slick tires, but it was raining, but the rain was just not enough to make the track wet enough for the rain tires. Another victim of those conditions is Luke Smith, who has decided to go on intermediates, which was a mistake, and he's dropped all the way down to P10. So he's just holding on to the last points paying position, but it's definitely not optimal for him. Same strategy mistake was made by Samuel Brandt, who was right ahead of him. Tim Ventic picks up another 3-second time penalty. It's all going wrong for the rookie. That's the second of the race. And the last driver to make a pit stop is Robin Herstadhagen, who's just pitted. He started on the hard compound tires. Let's see what tires he's going for. He's going for the medians. So he's hoping this compound will help him. Not like the other drivers that have tried the intermediates so far. So this will be interesting to see. We'll be looking at P8 till P11 for those drivers, because all of them are currently on the intermediates. As it's side by side between Samuel Brandt and Robin Herstadhagen. It's the battle of the Scandinavians, but Herstadhagen looks up, and it's Samuel Brandt going for a spin, and Luke Smith makes contact. Luke Smith might have just saved Samuel Brandt from spinning, but he has taken some contact, and I believe he must have taken some front wing damage, because there was some serious contact made. Let's hope for him he won't be forced to pit for a new front wing, as DRS is deactivated now. So this is probably the crossover point for intermediate tires, and who will be biting themselves is Tim Ventic, who just pitted 1 lap ago for the soft compound, for the medium compound tires. He will be forced to pit again. Oh wow. René picks up a penalty, and Luke Smith pits again, probably for a fresh front wing. Yeah, he changes his front wing, and he's sticking with intermediates, as we have reached the crossover point. Nick van Gelder, the reigning champion of Season 4, is in as well. And let's pick up the leaders. And let's see what they're gonna do. Lewis Marshall has a 7-second gap to P2, which currently is Rennie van der Stap, who's still out on his first set of tires. As expected, Lewis Marshall is pitting. He made the perfect strategy call, going on those medium compound tires. He probably could have gone on soft tires, but I don't think he had any soft compound tires left, as he used a lot of them in qualifying, as he invalidated a lot of his times. And out he goes, and in is everybody else. Rennie van der Stap is in. Vasilis Petitsiotis is in. Cam Weston Edwards is in. And Cam Weston Edwards is stuck behind his teammate. So McLaren has a double stack here, and Cam Weston Edwards is losing a lot of time behind his teammate Rennie van der Stap. Tim Vantik is in again for us, I believe third or fourth pits. It's his third pit stop of the race. And out they go. Cam Weston Edwards, is he gonna stay ahead of Robin Herschelhagen? Obviously, Robin Herschelhagen had a lot quicker of a run through the first corner, but Cam Weston Edwards is staying ahead of him. And Jorge Carrera side by side with Rennie van der Stap. Rennie van der Stap goes for a spin. Rennie van der Stap is in the grass. Jorge Carrera just tried to just overtook Rennie van der Stap, and Rennie van der Stap tried to came back on him with the second DRS straight. Obviously, the DRS is not activated anymore. And they just looked like they made some contact going to turn 3, and Rennie van der Stap was sent into a spin. And that gave Vasilis Petitsiotis a free position, who's now up to P3. Remember, Vasilis Petitsiotis wasn't able to make it to qualifying in time. He started from the back, and he's up to P3. This changeable conditions has definitely helped out the Greek driver, who, remember, is not driving for Toro Rosso. He's actually a Mercedes driver, but the game put him in Toro Rosso because he joined mid-session. And out of all this, Lewis Marshall is looking like he'll be able to get another win. That would be his third win in a row, as Cam Weston Edwards has just passed his teammate Rennie van der Stap. There's not only a battle between teammates, there's also a battle between championship contenders. Cam Weston Edwards leading the championship, as Brian Power gets a 10-second time penalty. So that must have been a real big corner cut, I imagine, by Brian Power, the rookie, in his first ever SRL League season. And Brian Power just retired off the session. So he called it a day, I guess. And Rennie van der Stap is losing more time. He might have overheated his tires in that spin. Robin Herschelhagen is now right behind him, and behind Robin Herschelhagen it's Samuel Brandt, whose intermediate tires are already 6 laps old though. So we have to keep that in our minds. As Vasilis Petitsiotis is now right behind Jorge Carrera. Jorge Carrera and Vasilis Petitsiotis both having standout races so far. Obviously Jorge Carrera had the much better starting position compared to Vasilis Petitsiotis. But this could be career podium number 2 for Jorge Carrera today here at the Austrian Grand Prix. It would be a great podium for Vasilis Petitsiotis as well, as he has started from the very back of the grid. I want to stay with this battle, as Rennie van der Stap loses the position to Robin Herschelhagen. I can see in the chat someone is asking for the top 3 penalties. Unfortunately, this is not an option you can see on the screen, but I've written down some. Currently, it's Tim Vantik has 6 seconds of time penalties. He's currently running in P8, as Vasilis Petitsiotis is going for the move against Jorge Carrera. And he already has made the move stick. Jorge Carrera is trying to come back though, side by side through the hairpin. but Vasilij just has more grip on the outside there, and Vasilij takes P2. So Tim Ventic has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. He's currently running 7th place. Dion Stahl has got 3 seconds worth of time penalties. He's currently running 11th. Nick van Gelder, who just gained 2... Oh, Tim Ventic, what has happened to him? He's losing positions. Let's pick him up. Maybe he was sent into a spin or something. He's definitely really slow. Something has just happened to Tim Ventic. And Tim Ventic has retired off the session. Oh wow, what has happened to the rookie? Might have this been a rage quit? Possibly an equipment issue, but yeah, no, it was a rage quit. He has got some front wing damage and I just saw him dropping down the order. So I guess he has made some contact, lost half of his front wing, went for a spin, and then, yeah, just lost his tempo and rage quitted. That's a common rookie mistake we have seen through the past 2 seasons, especially with Vasilij Spelitsiotis last year when he rage quitted on multiple occasions, most notably at Baku after first lap contact with Randy van der Staap. As Samuel Brandt is pitting for a new front wing, so it probably was contact between him and Tim Ventic. Whew. Unfortunately, we didn't catch that on camera. That's my mistake. I'm sorry. As Leon Stahl has picked up another time penalty. Karen Weston Edwards has 3 seconds worth of time penalties to continue that. And Randy van der Staap has a 3-second time penalty. And it looks like for the first time in this race, we're gonna have a short break of action. This race has been full of action, overtakes, changeable conditions, collisions, changes for the lead. This race had it all so far, and I hope you're enjoying it. We still got some 9 laps to go. As we're gonna do the run through the field presented by Plan D. Plan D, the official sponsor of SRL League Racing. Lewis Marchand, in his 3rd race after his comeback into SRL League Racing, is leading the race. This would be his 3rd ever SRL League race win after his comeback. His 3rd win in a row. He was leading all race. He was fighting early on with Tim Ventic and Luke Smith. And him made some contact, and Lewis Marshall lost the lead for a few laps, but a strategy mistake by Tim Ventic has given him the lead back, and he's never looked back again. He is leading by 11 seconds ahead of Vasilij Spelitsiotis. Vasilij Spelitsiotis so far, for me, has been the story of the race. He wasn't able to make it in time for qualifying, but he was able to join mid-session. The game put him in the Toro Rosso, which isn't even his car, as he goes for a slide throughout the last corner. Which isn't even his team. He's racing for Mercedes, actually. But yeah, he has had a really great race. He has made his way through the field, and the changeable conditions have helped him in the strategy, and he has moved up into P2. That would be, yeah, that's really, it's going to be a satisfying result for the Greek driver after missing qualifying. Behind him, it's another great race by Jorge Carrera. Jorge Carrera has had a great qualifying session, starting way inside the top 10. Remember back at Russia, he had his first SRL League podium, and he's looking to make, to get his 2nd podium in SRL League history. He's currently looking really strong, running in P3. He had to give up P2 to Vasilij Spelitsiotis, who was just much quicker. But yeah, he's got a 5-second gap to championship leader Cameron Weston Edwards. Cameron Weston Edwards has had another great start to the race, but he got pushed off the track by Luke Smith and went for the trip through the gravel. Right in the upcoming corner. He dropped down to P9, had a great charge through the field back into P4, I think it was, back again. Yeah, he's running P4. The best part of his race was a free wide overtake against Louis Quinlan, Reese March and Samuel Brandt. He's currently running in P4 and he's looking to catch Jorge Carrera, but he's currently running out of time. We only got 7 laps left. Behind him, it's another great run for a driver. This time is Robin Herstadhagen. Robert Herstadhagen had a great strategy. He started on the hard compound tires and was able to run until the rain came, without any pit stops, so he only has made one pit stop so far, and that was the perfect pit stop at the perfect time for intermediate tires. Rennie van der Stap currently running P6. His race has been the cleanest so far. He started all the way down in P12. Remember, he's a championship contender. He has just made some contact a few laps ago and was sent into a spin, lost 2 positions, but he's still running way inside the top 10 and P6. Behind him, it's Nick van Gelder. Nick van Gelder, our reigning champion, had a really poor qualifying, only starting in P10, but he's currently has made his way up to P7. Obviously, has also improved some positions by people retiring, like Tim Ventic or Louis Quinlan. He's catching Rennie van der Stap with some big steps, and we'll be able to pass him for P6 soon, I imagine. Behind him, it's Luke Smith. Well, Luke Smith had a really strong qualifying, started from row 2. He was challenging for the lead early on. He forced Cam West Edwards off the track for P2 early on. He made some contact with Lewis Marshall, sending him into a spin when he was catching him for the race lead. And since then, yeah, it was just a lot of bad luck. I think he had to change his front wing because of damage. The strategy really didn't help him out with the challengeable conditions. He was one of the 2 drivers, together with Tim Ventic, who really lost a lot of positions because of the rain. He chose the wrong strategy, and he's currently only running in P8. He's a reserve driver for myself today. That's why he's piloting the Ferrari. Behind him, it's his teammate for this race, Dion Stahl. Dion Stahl had another incident on lap 1. He dropped all the way down to the last position, had to change his front wing, got a new front wing, and is currently running inside the top 10. Obviously, there are only 12 drivers running at the moment, but yeah, if he scores points in this race, he'll be happy, as Nick van Gelder just passed Rennie van der Stap. In the last points-paying position, it's Samuel Blunt, who had a great race running inside the top 10, but a few laps ago he made contact with Tim Ventic, and he was forced to pit for a new front wing. Samuel Blunt running P10. Ivan Brito has been a non-factor all race long. He's been at the back of the pack for most of this race. He's currently running P11. Doesn't look like he'll be able to score any points, as he's almost 1 lap behind Samuel Blunt. And Reese March is currently running in last place. I honestly don't know how he got there. He was running really strong for a big chunk of this race. I guess he was screwed over by strategy. He just went in for his 3rd pit stop of the race for the wet compound tires. He's currently the only driver on wet tires, so it will be interesting to see what lap times he's going to do, and if maybe the other drivers have to pit for some new wet tires as well. And this was the run through the field, presented by Plan D, the official sponsor of SRL League Racing. As we come back to our live action with Reese March, yeah, with a big save here, and he's gonna be in for a spin and a trip for the gravel. I guess he's overheating his tires. It doesn't look wet enough for the wet compound tires. He's made a strategy mistake on this. Well, he threw the Hail Mary as he's running in last place, but it definitely didn't work out. All gaps seem to be pretty steady, as I just say that Luke Smith has gone by Rennie van der Stap, who looked like he ran a little bit wide through that long left corner in the 2nd sector. That puts Luke Smith back into P7. As Rennie van der Stap seems to be struggling with those conditions. He might have made a mistake on his setup. Well, not a mistake, but he has definitely not expected the rain to come. And he seems to really struggle in the rain at the moment, only running in P8. He's dropping down the order continuously. Jorge Carrera still running P3. I expected Cameron Edwards to close that gap to Jorge Carrera, but the gap has pretty much stayed the same. So really solid pace by the Portuguese. Jorge Carrera in his Alfa Romeo. It's looking like he's gonna take his 2nd ever SRL League podium. So stunning job for Jorge Carrera. Talking about stunning jobs, what a race by Vasilis Petitsiotis, who's still running in P2. To be fair, Jorge Carrera has caught up a little bit to Vasilis Petitsiotis in the last few laps, but Petitsiotis seems to control the gap. Luke Smith is closing the gap to reigning champion Nick van Gelder, who's been struggling so far this season. A lot of spins, a lot of mistakes, not too many great runs for the Dutch driver. He's definitely in the championship slump so far this season. Obviously, there's still a lot of races to go. We're only in round 5 here at Austria. And Dion Starr picks up another time penalty. That's he has got 12 seconds worth of time penalties now. So he's definitely going to lose a position to Samuel Brown, who's currently behind him. And we just got confirmation that Tim Ventick had made contact with Samuel Brandt. Samuel Brandt sent the Dutchman spinning, and that's where Tim Ventick got his damage from. And Tim Ventick just admitted that he rage quitted on this race. So yeah, that's a rookie mistake. You should never rage quit because you never know what's happening. Obviously we got changeable conditions, everything can happen at any time, and Tim Ventick is a driver in the championship contention right now and needs every single point. As I know myself, because I lost Sandro Doulis, I lost the season 1 championship by 1 point against Eden Neumann, and every single point is important in league racing. As Luke Smith has a much better run through turn 1. He's going to be trying to make the move against Nick van Gelder now, going up the hill, really close between those two. Nick van Gelder is still alongside him, but Luke Smith just got a much better run on the outside of that hairpin corner, as we've seen. Other drivers do have done it before on that move around the outside. Just looks like in the wet there's much more grip on the outside than on the inside of that corner. Nick van Gelder does not look like he has enough speed to come back at the Australian. As, oh my goodness, Chris March has gone for another spin. He should just pit for intermediates at this point. He's just a threat for other drivers at the moment, as we have just seen. I mean, if he spun like 2 meters later, he might have been in the way of Luke Smith, and that would have been devastating news for the Australian. As Nick van Gelder is coming back at Smith, but Luke Smith held on to the position around the outside there. Cameron Edwards just took another penalty, but he has got a big gap to Robin Herschelhagen, who's running P5, so I don't expect Cameron Edwards to lose any positions. On the edge between, we just saw on really hard under the braking between Luke Smith and Nick van Gelder. Both were sideways in that braking zone. As we just saw, Vasilis Petesiotis picking up a 3-second time penalty. That's his first one of the race. He's pulled the gap up to 6 seconds now against Jorge Carrera. And Cameron Edwards is slowly catching up to Jorge Carrera, but it won't be enough because we're already on the final lap of the race. We're gonna pick up Lewis Marshall. After leading the championship in Season 4 and being banned for off-track action by the SRL League owners, he's made his comeback back at Russia. He's won the Russian Grand Prix. He's won the Bahrain Grand Prix. He's gonna come around through the final corner, and Lewis Marshall is gonna win the Austrian Grand Prix. It's the third win. It's his third win of the season, his third win in a row. And wow, what a stunning drive by the Mercedes driver. Spin and win for the Brit. Vasilis Petesiotis with the comeback drive of the season so far, in my opinion, coming home in second. Jorge Carrera takes his second ever SRL podium with a stunning P3 finish. Cameron Edwards has done everything he could after being pushed off the track by Luke Smith on the first step. He recovers to P4. Robin Herschelhagen is going to take his best ever SRL League result with P5, great strategy by the Welsh. Not Welsh, my bad, Norwegian. Luke Smith running out of fuel over the line, but he's going to take P6, but it's going to be 6 for Nick van Gelder due to penalties. Luke Smith is going to finish in P7. Rene Vanderstep with a really scrappy race. Still going to get 4 points with P8, but he's definitely not going to be happy with that. Dion Stahl is going to take P9 on the racetrack, but he's definitely going to lose a position to Samuel Brandt due to penalties. So it's P9 for Brandt and P10 for Dion Stahl, taking the final point. And here we have our podium finishers. Lewis Marshall, that's his 7th SRL career victory. Wow, what a drive! What a drive by Lewis Marshall. Congratulations to him and his Mercedes team. Great work all weekend. I was going to have a look at the finishing result. Is Lewis Marshall taking the win ahead of Vasilis Biditsiotis, and third it's another great podium finish by Jorge Carrera. Then it's Cameron Weston Edwards, the championship leader, in P4. He's probably going to lose the championship. He has lost the championship lead to Lewis Marshall now. Robin Herschelhagen, the Norwegian, in P5. Then it's Nick van Gelder, our reigning champion, in 6th. Luke Smith, Ferrari reserve driver for this race, in P7 after contact and a mixed up strategy. Rene Vanderstep with a disappointing P8. Samuel Brandt P9. Dion Stahl P10. Ivan Brito P11. Reese March only in P12. 4 laps down, by the way. Tim Ventic, Brian Power, Jan Holm, and Louis Quinlan are your non-finishers. So I'm gonna say thank you guys for watching the 5th round of Season 5 here with SRL League Racing. Make sure to check out the links down below in the description. You can check out the SRL League website to get all kinds of news, results, and many more informations on that website. Also make sure to check out our SRL League Instagram page. Link is also down below in the descriptions. Make sure to follow us there with some great SRL League content. Never miss anything on that. You can also support the SRL League with becoming a Patreon. You can gain some exclusive prizes and rewards by becoming a Patreon. Link is also down below in the description. We'll be back with SRL League Racing with the Monaco Grand Prix next time out. Kamikaze Fox will be back in the booth for that race. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe to the SRL League channel to see more great SRL League racing. I've been Sandro Doulis in the booth today. I hope you enjoyed today's broadcast, and I'll see you on the next race. Goodbye.